You're watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.
Well, it's Monday. That means it's McGuire Monday here on Toronto Sports Rush. I am joined by Pierre McGuire. Pierre, you're in an unfamiliar location today, which we'll get to towards the end of the show, but I want to start off right off the hop. After the Maple Leafs lost to the Ottawa Senators on Saturday night, Craig Berube called out Joseph Woll, and it seems to me like that's a little bit misplaced of a call-out when you consider that Joseph Woll is the statistically most overworked goaltender in the NHL, Anthony Stolarz, of course, being goaltender number 2.
And obviously with Anthony Stolarz getting hurt in the pregame warm-up, it's kind of an unfortunate situation for Joe Woll to go in, especially in a back-to-back situation where they had played Carolina the night before. Tough stuff. I'm going to say this. I want to qualify this and be very transparent. I've walked in Craig Berube's shoes. I did not coach an original 16, but I did coach a team in the NHL, and I coached a bunch of different teams in the NHL. And when you get to this point of the year and your team is underachieved, there is a level of frustration. You know, you lose Marner in the offseason. You lose Matthews to an injury. You lose Tanev for most of the year. You have a player like Nyes who has underachieved this year. Probably your most consistent player is a guy that's, 38, 39 years old in John Tavares. I get his frustration. I totally do. I'm not making excuses for him. That being said, this has been a bitterly disappointing year for Toronto, and I think Craig showed his disappointment after the game on Saturday night.
Okay, that's fair enough. And for those in the business that don't understand, that's what we call a teaser, because Pierre somehow just called out every name I plan to mention to him during this show.
Sorry.
But I want to no, it's okay. It's like a little preview of what's to come, because you mentioned so many key names and we're going to get to all of these guys, but it seems like right now, you know, there's all this tanking talk, and I don't think either of us believe in that. Maybe playing out the stretch is a fairer assessment of what's happening in Toronto right now. But from my end, it seems as though there is a little bit of top to bottom mismanagement of how to deploy personnel right now. And it seems like, to me, this would be an ideal time to see some new faces on the ice and call some guys up from the AHL, especially in the goaltending situation. I mean, you just re-signed Artur to a 3-year contract down the AHL. Why not bring him up? I mean, he may end up here now because of Anthony's injury, but why not get him some ice time and see what you're working with for the future?
See, this is why I love working with you. Those are such relevant points, and you're spot on. I just want everybody to understand this too, Kyle. I love the fact that you talked about the tanking part. There's not a player in the league that wants to tank. And part of why they don't want to tank is even though they play on a team and they might have contracts, once you get perceived as a guy that doesn't play hard and you're a quitter, that circumnavigates around the league to decision makers. And when that starts to circumnavigate around your name, you got a problem in terms of maintaining employment. So there's not a player in the league that's going to tank. Even if a coach says you lay down and tank, there's not a player in the league that's going to do it. There's not a coach in the league that's going to tank. Now, this is how tanking does happen, though. When management says, we're trading this guy away, we're sending that guy to the American Hockey League, we're going to put this guy on IR, and we're going to bring a whack of guys up from the American League and the East Coast League. That's when you know a team is tanking. Now, to your point, to be fair, I do think there are guys that need some dress rehearsals in the NHL. Easton Cowan should be playing close to 20 minutes every night. You got to see where his game is at and what he needs to improve on in the offseason. There are guys in the American Hockey League right now that need to come up and play. You need to find out, can they help us or can't they help us? So there are dress rehearsals that have to happen with this team now. Everybody knows what their fate is going to be. Now's the time. You've been on this. You're one of the few voices that has been talking about this in a positive way. I think now's the time, Kyle, where they need to start bringing guys up and see what they have.
And also, Pierre, from the point of view, from a management point of view, this isn't just a dress rehearsal to see what they would have for the future by bringing guys up. How about also maybe promoting them as potential trade pieces? Yes. Or there's another angle to this too. It's about the future of this hockey team. And it seems like sometimes they're not being coached for a future. They're being coached for the stretch of the season. The season's washed. The season's done. Mm-hmm. But they have to start planning how to move forward from this. And, you know, they've given away some draft picks and trades, and whether they can get those back or not may depend on some of these pieces being auditioned at the NHL level in order to be inserted either into other franchises or as bridges to the next version of this Toronto Maple Leafs hockey team.
Just to your point, they're not getting Fraser Minton back. Just divorce yourself from that idea. But there are guys that are coming along where you say, okay, can he or can't he? And you have to ask the question. The only way you can answer the question after it's asked is giving the guy an opportunity to play. Like, I know the Scott Lawton experiment didn't work. I get it.
Yeah.
It didn't work. He's a phenomenal kid, and he's a good player. It just didn't work for whatever reason. And they've moved on from it. So now you're creating opportunities for other players. Let's see who can handle it and who can't. The other part is like Nicky Dubois. Nicky Dubois, for whatever reason, it just didn't work out in Toronto. It just didn't. Now, what happens if you would have dealt with Marner differently? Right. And these are the internal questions that Keith Pelley has to ask. Like, I know it's not fashionable. I know it's not very polite, and I know it's not nice. But you have to ask the question, who led the charge to move Marner? How did the alienation process start with Marner? How do we make sure that never happens again? What are we going to do with Austin Matthews long term? What are we going to do with Jake McCabe long term? What are we going to do with Simon Benoit Like, these questions need to be asked. And they're not fun questions to have to answer. You know what I'm talking about. Like, there's a lot of stuff that could happen with this team. And if they repeat the same mistakes they made with Marner, they're really in trouble.
Yeah, and part of the overall point I'm trying to get to with this team is here, you don't wait till July or August to start answering these. These are obvious questions, and they're not going away. For example, would now not be the perfect time to shut down Matthew Nyes and let that knee injury? He's been dealing with it the whole season. We all know it. We all know why he hasn't. I mean, it's probably one of many reasons, but this is a young guy. Pull him off the ice and start the rehab and start the recovery from this knee problem now, so he's fresh for next season. He's not going anywhere. He just signed. You know what I mean? This guy is a piece of the future of this team. Why put more minutes on that leg when it's not leading to anything? Who could accuse a team of tanking when you're actually prepping this team for a much better season next year by letting this guy rest? Well
said. Totally agree. We saw it from the beginning. You can go back and look at the tapes of Kyle and I talking. We said, there's something wrong with Matthew Nyes. There's something wrong because he doesn't have that same two-step acceleration. That's a term I used way back near the start of the year. You could see it. I'd go all the way back to watching Matthew Nyes play at summer camps for USA Hockey. I watched him play with Logan Cooley at the University of Minnesota. Like, there's reference points. And I'm watching him last year compared to this year. You could tell there was something wrong with this guy. For a big man, his acceleration process is phenomenal. It hasn't been this year. So to your point, he does need to sit down. They do need to rest him. One other thing, Kyle, that I think is really important. Whomever is leaking in Toronto, somebody is.
Yeah.
Whomever is leaking in Toronto, that has to stop. It was the downfall of the New York Rangers. The Rangers went from being a team that went to the Eastern Conference Final. Somebody internally started leaking about certain players, and look where the Rangers are right now. This leaking process, whomever's doing it, and I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, I'm just saying somebody is leaking there. That has to stop in Toronto. It has to stop because you're going to alienate too many players. And once you do that, then you're looking at a 7 to 10 year rebuild process. You'll see.
So let's talk about a potential rebuild process because, one version of it or another, this team is being rebuilt. It cannot continue as is. And the debate now is, well, what are we talking about here? Are we renovating the bathroom and redoing the kitchen, or are we tearing this place down to the studs and rebuilding and keeping just a few core pieces? I'm going to get you to talk about someone right here because a lot of people are very afraid of drastic change in a team like that. But if you just take a quick look at what Bill Zito did in Florida when he went in there in 2020, the remarkable turnaround that franchise went over that, basically lasted until this season. It was an impressive 5 or 6 year run for that team. That was done very, very quickly. So it can, in fact, be done.
There are a couple things to that, and you're absolutely correct. Montreal is another example with Jeff Gorton and Kent Hughes. So what these teams did is they maybe shrunk their staffs, but went out and hired people that you don't even know their names, but they're really good evaluators of professional talent and amateur talent. I'm not saying Toronto needs to blow up their player procurement process, but they need to evaluate certain people internally. Do we have too many assistant GMs? Do we have too many analytic people? Do we not have enough boots on the ground pro scouts? Do we not have enough ingredients for free agents out of Europe? How much of our U.S. national development stuff do we have with people? So I'll give you an example. They just signed Vinny Borghese. I know Vinny Borghese's game unbelievably. My son was his teammate at Northeastern University. He's a good signing. Does it mean he's going to be an instantaneous impact player for the Toronto Maple Leafs? No. But is he going to help the Toronto Marlies? Yes. So that helps you build your process with your young players filtering through your organization because they're going to play more big games. So it all starts with that little microcosm of evaluation of one college player who's going to come in that's going to help you. They have to keep building that. I know it sounds boring. I know it doesn't sound fun, but that's how you do it. That's what Montreal did. Montreal, this name won't mean anything to anybody. They brought in Nicky Bobroff. Nicky Bobroff had been with Boston. He'd been with with the New York Rangers. He got let go in both places. He goes to Montreal. They take Jacob Fowler. They take Lane Hudson. They take a kid named Demidoff. You go look at all the players that have come in, young players, and go look at their team in Laval. Nicky Bobroff and Marty Lapointe have made a massive difference there. Massive, because they were empowered by the management team. Toronto needs to go down that road.
Yeah, they really do. And I want to mention another player's name who you touched on earlier. Could you make a case that on some professional level, the Toronto Maple Leafs maybe it's not the right word, but maybe should present the idea to John Tavares that they're willing to let him move somewhere where he can have a run at a playoff team and a cup contender, because he signed for an incredible deal for the Leafs. Yeah. He still has a lot of offensive value. He still has a lot of dressing room value. Do you think they should present an option to him where because you have to imagine in a trade in the offseason, that contract's valuable to another team because it's low. And, should they maybe talk about moving on from John Tavares for just purely professional reasons at some level?
What a great point. Absolutely. So here's how I would do it, Kyle. And I'm just going to try to take people inside the managerial suite for a second. You may present that to John, but the way you present it so that there's no alienation process that goes into it. The agent's involved, John's family is involved, and it's not a meeting in Toronto. It's a meeting at John's home. It's a meeting where John's comfortable. And you say, we would like to present this to you. We respect you so much because you do honestly respect us.
Yes.
We know you gave us a hometown discount to stay. This is where our team is right now. Where would you like to go? If you want to go, we would move you wherever. If you don't want to go, we're never going to alienate you. We're never going to make you feel bad as a member of the family because you are a member of the family. That's how it has to be done. It's not complicated. Yeah. It's not convoluted. It's simple. It's respectful, but it shows the brand and the standards you have with the Toronto Maple Leaf organization. That's what needs to come back. There needs to be a branding. There needs to be a standard. And the guys have to know this is how you're treated in Toronto.
Yeah, and that would set a very good precedent for guys in the future. But again, it would be almost like his last reward for this team was that low dollar amount he signed for in the offseason would pay them back one last time. And you would have to part ways. Listen, if he wants to stay in Toronto, they're lucky to have him. But at the same time, he could be worth something in return because of that low average annual value.
100%. 100%. You're right.
Okay, Pierre, I want you to think ahead into the Eastern Conference right now. I'm going to put you on the spot here for a minute.
Okay. Yep.
But I want you to give a prediction as of today and what you're seeing across the broader NHL right now. Who do you think comes out of the Eastern Conference this season?
Tampa Bay is really good. Just telling you right now. Mm-hmm. And there's a rhyme and rhythm to how they're playing in Tampa. Cooper's coached as well as I've ever seen him coach. I mean that. And he's had to deal with a lot this year. The passing of his father, coaching in the Olympics, not getting a goal. Like there's a lot of moving parts for John this year. He's coached fantastically well. Rob Zettler, that name means probably nothing to our audience. Robbie coaches their defense. I haven't seen this much improvement in a team's defense internally in a very long time. Go look at some of the names on their back end. They're names that you wouldn't even recognize. But they've really improved under Rob's tutelage. So I really have a lot of respect for what's gone on in Tampa. I think the biggest thing, and again, I mean this, Tampa's going to be tough because they got guys that got rested during the Olympics. Braden Point and Anthony Cirelli in particular. Victor Hedman didn't play that much at the Olympics. People forget that. He was hurt. So their goalie, Vasilevsky, never played. He didn't go. So Tampa's going to be a tough out. They're going to be a really tough out. If you were to ask me, is there a sleeper in the East that's going to cause problems? It might be Carolina. I watched them dismantle Pittsburgh yesterday here in Pittsburgh, just down the corridor from where I'm sitting right now. And I knew Carolina was good. I didn't think they were as good as what I saw yesterday. And I think part of that is because Brindamore, Jeff Daniels, and Timmy Gleason, their coaching staff, have done an off-the-charts job. They have done an unbelievable job in Carolina as a coaching staff. So would it surprise me if it's Carolina-Tampa in the Eastern Conference Final? It would not. It would not surprise me.
They do seem like the front runners. Not only that, obviously the Buffalo Sabres are a great hockey team. The Montreal Canadiens have come on. But these are younger hockey teams that
Correct.
still need to taste this a little bit more. Like Connor McDavid, the greatest hockey player on earth, said after their recent loss to Tampa Bay himself, they play an easy game. Their systems all work. They're really, really dialed in as a unit. And we all know that come playoff time, that experience with all those skaters on the ice, Cooper behind the bench, Vasilevsky and net, that's all going to come to bear a fruit on the ice for them when it comes to moving into game 6 and 7 of these long series.
I love what you said, Kyle. And here's the other thing. I have nothing but admiration and respect for what's going on in Buffalo. Jarmo Kekalainen is a good friend of mine. I've known him since 1987, like a long time. He's just done a tremendous job. Lindy Ruff's coached fantastically well. I think the world of what's going on in Montreal, I think if there's a sleeper in that division, it's Ottawa. I wouldn't want to play. If Ottawa makes the playoffs, wouldn't want to play Ottawa in the playoffs. So there's a lot of great stuff in the Atlantic Division in particular. But what you just said, these are still young teams.
Yes.
Not a lot. Tampa's a grizzled, old, tough, focused team. Like what they did in Edmonton the other night, they didn't just beat them. They dismantled them.
They dismantled them.
They dismantled them. And that's an urgent Edmonton Oilers team. I don't know what's going to happen there. But I'll tell you one thing, I still wouldn't want to play Tampa in the first round. When they're healthy and they're ready to go, I wouldn't want to play them early on. I'll tell you that.
I wouldn't want to play them early, Pierre. I wouldn't want to play them late. Okay, so before I let you go here, you got to tell the viewers why you're sitting somewhere new on this week's McGuire Monday. Tell us about where you are and what you're doing, Pierre.
This is my 4th year at the Mario Lemieux Fantasy Camp. Almost 5 years ago, Mario called me up and he said, "Hey, these guys want to come to this because they envision themselves as NHL players. So would you come and run the practices at the camp?" I said, "Are you serious?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm serious." So I came. The first year I was on the ice running it, and he says, "I want you to run it like when I was playing for you guys." So I ran an NHL practice, and after 10 minutes, he looked at me and said, "That's enough. These guys are dying." Ever since then, I've been coming back with pleasure because of Mario and the people that surround him. And what we do is we raise a lot of money for cancer research here in the Pittsburgh area. To date, Mario's raised almost $50 million, believe it or not, for cancer research. They build up kind of like Ronald McDonald Homes here in Pittsburgh for people to be able to go when their children are being taken care of at the cancer hospitals here in Pittsburgh. So it's something that's near and dear to my heart. I just spent a lot of time with some of my old players, Jay Caulfield, Mark Recchi, Kevin Stevens. Ty Domi comes just to give it a Toronto flavor. Dougie Gilmore's been coming here for years and years and years. Grant Fuhr's been coming for a long time. Larry Murphy. I can go down the line. Joey Mullen. It's all Hall of Famers. It's like you walk down the hallway, it's another guy in the Hall of Fame. It's just crazy stuff. And I'm just so grateful to be part of it because whenever Mario calls, I'll always be there. He's an amazing guy, Kyle. He's an amazing, amazing man. He never tells anybody what he does for the community. And I'm really proud to be part of it.
Pierre, he was always my favorite hockey player, and it appears as though he maintains the nickname, the Magnificent One, off the ice well into retirement. That's a great thing he does. It's great that you participate in it down there, Pierre. Happy to see you having so much fun. Go easy on those boys, though, Pierre, for God's sakes.
I just gave that pep talk. So, Kyle, we're about to have our first game, and I went in there. Mario really wants it to be like an NHL feel. So one of my pro players is Matthew Barnaby. And I went in there and tuned him up in front of all the guys, like what I would do when I was coaching the league. I'd say, "Look, I need you to do this," and right in his face. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm ready to go." And all the guys are like, "Holy moly, he's crazy." But this is all part of it, and it's all in good fun.
Sure.
But
it's the
we try to make sure
for.
the guys understand, what's it like to really be in an NHL dressing room before a big game. Yeah. And guys appreciate it. They have fun.
That sounds great, Pierre. Thanks so much again for all of your analysis and your good spirits here, Pierre. We'll see you next week on McGuire Monday. Going to press you about the Western Conference next week, so have your notes ready, buddy.
You are the best teammate ever. I'm so proud to be part of your group. Thanks a lot, Kyle. Thank you.
Thanks for watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.